Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric, and coming up this summer, I'm going to embark on a trip to go to every Six Flags park with the exception of Mexico, and some I've already been to. But before I do that, I thought I'd give a preemptive ranking, so I can compare my ranking before the trip to after. Before we begin the ranking, please subscribe to the channel so you know when new content comes out. Now, some things I should throw in. First of all, some experiences in these parks were very long ago. I will explain in detail what each one was, when, and all of that, what rides I did and did not ride and such. And for which parks I'm ranking, I've currently been to Magic Mountain, Great Adventure, New England, over Georgia, over Texas, and Discovery Kingdom. So with that out of the way, let's get to number 6. Last place is Six Flags New England. I know some would probably put this above, heck, maybe all of the rides and all the other parks, because of Superman the Ride, Wicked Cyclone, a couple others. But I don't think it's my favorite because there's a lot of rides I personally did not enjoy on my visit. I went before the Riddler Revenge changed to Mind Eraser, so Mind Eraser was definitely a weak ride, but it was probably far from the worst in the park for me. Rides like Goliath, Flashback, and even some smaller ones like Gotham City Gauntlet were pretty painful and just not roller coasters I enjoyed that much. For me, some have heard this before, Batman the Dark Knight was not really a good ride in my opinion. So the only things really holding it up were Superman and Wicked Cyclone, which are two top tier coasters, so certainly good ones to have there. And then I enjoyed the Skyscreamer and the Joker, their free spin. That would have been my third favorite ride in the park. I hear some good things now, and there's some to enjoy here. I love the location, and I think in terms of operations, it's one of the stronger ones in the chain. However, rides are the main thing I go to a park for, and this one does not deliver on rides the same way the others do. Number 5 is Six Flags Over Georgia. This one may also be too low for quite a few of you. And I think in terms of rides, it could be number 3 or even number 2. Its rides are fantastic. Goliath, Daredevil Dive, Twisted Cyclone, Superman Ultimate Flight, Batman the Ride. All of these are very strong roller coasters. You also have Mindbender, which used to be a lot better, but my recent visit at the end of 2021 was not great for Mindbender. And then you have rides such as Monster Mansion, which is the best dark ride in the Six Flags chain and one of my favorite dark rides ever. So in terms of rides, it's high up there. And I said rides are most important. However, this one does have the biggest operational issues that do make an experience here less fun than the actual park on paper. First of all, the layout is definitely the weakest of any park. That's actually saying quite a bit because you have a lot of interesting layouts at Magic Mountain and other places. But then you have the fact that you have to go down a pretty steep hill to get to the Gotham City area. You have to walk back up that hill to get out. There's some parts where I got lost. I actually went with a local last time, and even they didn't really know how to get from ride to ride. And for operations, I had some issues that I've seen in some Six Flags parks to an extent, but they were more frequent here. I won't go into great detail on them, but it involved not having enough operators to go at certain rides, strange loose article policies, and overall, a great park because of the rides. But in experience here, I can definitely see where some things can be frustrating, and that's why the parks that didn't frustrate me as much rank higher. Number 4 is Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. The most underrated park in the chain so far for me, even though it only ranks number 4. This one, I really struggle to fault it. I'll talk about what is kind of weaker about it though first of all. The things I dislike the most are something people have talked about before is the layout, and yeah, I think that's not a great part of the park, but the park's small enough that it didn't bother me too much. The operations, they weren't too slow for the most part until later in the day, but it was more the ride closures that kind of bothered me. Unfortunately, Joker was down for most of the day. Us getting a ride within an hour of the park closing is the only time we were able to get on it. Lucky us, I guess, because Joker ended up being a great ride. And on the other rides, honestly, I think Superman Ultimate Flight is a fantastic Premier Odds launch coaster. I would definitely take it above West Coast Racers. I think Medusa is the best B&M floorless and a really strong B&M, honestly. Batman the Ride is my favorite 4D free spin, and just an excellent ride for what it is. Kong is definitely not great, Boomerang is not great, but I like those rides. The flat rides here are solid, And even though the ride lineup is not great in depth, the rides they do have are pretty strong. But what really holds this park up is the atmosphere. I really did enjoy walking around this park. In the front, you have some really nice looking areas, plenty of statues that kind of add to it. The foliage is pretty nice. And in the back, I think the zoo parts are handled pretty well. I do enjoy zoo type settings, so I did enjoy seeing animals, getting to see giraffes, lions, wolves, tigers, and all of the marine life as well. And then the butterfly garden is kind of a hidden gem in the park, and someone who likes nature, the kind of replicated environment they put in is quite impressive. So that mixed with a strong lineup of rides, and overall just a very good park. That makes it number 4 on the list. Number 3 is Six Flags Over Texas. Now, I've yet to ride Aquaman Power Wave like most people because I'm sure as the time this video releases, it is still not open. But the rides here are underrated. New Texas Giant is probably the most underrated coaster I've ridden, as I do consider it an elite ride. You also have Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast, fantastic. Titan, pretty good. Then you have Batman the Ride, which is definitely the weakest in the chain, but I like Shockwave a lot as well. And the family coasters here are surprisingly fantastic. Runaway Mine Train, Runaway Mountain, and Pandemonium, I love them all. And then for flat rides, you have a pretty solid collection. I enjoy a lot of the ones they have there, and the atmosphere of the park is pretty good as well. Because it was the first one that was kind of conceptualized as a full theme park, you do have some theming that kind of takes you into certain lands each time. And I think the Gotham area actually looks especially strong. My only gripe with this park, honestly, is the layout. I just had no idea how to get from place to place at certain points. That said, it is a strong park, and one that I really love, and I'm excited to go back to it this summer. Number 2 is Six Flags Great Adventure. I went to this park quite recently, and some of you may know that I actually prefer King Dakar to El Toro. Those two rides make up a very strong top 2. Not quite New England, but definitely a strong one. With King Dakar being just above Dragster for me, and El Toro being my favorite wooden coaster. Then you have Jersey Devil, which I think is a pretty solid ride. It's not elite, and as far as RMCs goes, it's definitely the worst, but worst RMC is like the worst Marvel movie. Everyone likes them all, well except Dark World, but let's not talk about that. So I also enjoyed rides like Nitro, Superman Ultimate Flight, Batman the Ride, The Joker, and so many others. Dark Knight Coaster is a really underrated and honestly super fun ride. And I think overall, the park is underrated in terms of atmosphere. The fact that the Golden Kingdom area really does kind of immerse you in a different world, and you're brought into the King Dakar area and it seems completely different from the rest of the park. I loved that. I think the park is just visually quite nice. And the layout, despite being terrible for some reason, it's good. What do I mean by that? You can get from place to place really quickly, even though on paper, on a map, it looks awful. It looks like you have to walk all the way across to get from El Toro to Jersey Devil, and it's gonna take hours, but no, it takes 10 minutes. Maybe I'm just a really fast walker though. So overall, Great Adventure is a strong park, and I'm excited to go back, give El Toro another shot at being number 1 at the park, and we'll see how that goes. But number 1 had to be Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is tough because it's not head and shoulders above any of the other parks. But I do think it has the strongest ride collection, and that is what's most important for me. You have Twisted Colossus, which is an underrated and top tier RMC for me. You also have Goliath, which is a hypercoaster that is actually pretty enjoyable. For really top tier coasters in the park, you have Tatsu and X2. Then you have Batman the Ride, which I think is probably the best one, tied with Over Georgia. I enjoy Riddler's Revenge. I really do like Full Throttle. Apocalypse the Ride is a strong wooden coaster. West Coast Racers is a decent ride for sure. Some elements are great. I don't love the restraints. And then overall, you have the layouts. That's something that we need to talk about because I know the park's built on a mountain, but that is the biggest issue with the park. To get to Superman Escape from Krypton, you do have to walk up a mountain. Unless there's some other path I don't know about. But that is definitely frustrating. But overall, it is a solid layout because of what they had to work with. And I think the back half of the park honestly just looks incredibly nice. And being near the top of the mountain areas, you can look all around and see the roller coasters, most of which are visually just beautiful. So the park's atmosphere is not bad. I know some have commented it being terrible, but I like the mountains surrounding. And of course the highlight here is rides. I mentioned coasters, you have strong flat rides, and overall, there's a lot to love about this place, and it's definitely so far my favorite Six Flags park. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your favorite Six Flags parks, and I'm excited to go on this trip and tell you more about some of the other ones. I'll see you next time.